You finally meet someone who's kind and genuinely treats you with warmth. They are patient with you and give you the space you need. They actually show up for you in ways you may not be used to. And what do you do in response to that closeness? You suddenly pick a fight over something small. You go emotionally cold and distant. You find a reason, any reason at all, not to pull away from them. Everyone around you thinks you're scared of rejection, but that's not what's really happening inside. You're not actually afraid that they'll leave you. You're afraid they'll stay and eventually see the version of you that wasn't enough the first time. That fear inside you? It didn't start with this person in front of you. It started in the house you grew up in. If this is you, and if you've ever sabotaged something good because being close to someone felt physically unsafe, I need you to hear something first. There is absolutely nothing wrong with your ability to love someone deeply. What actually happened is that your nervous system learned a rule a very long time ago, and it has been running that rule ever since, without ever asking your permission. Here is what that rule quietly sounds like inside your mind. If someone gets close to you, they'll eventually see the real version of you. And the real version of you wasn't enough the last time someone saw it. You don't think this consciously in your thoughts, but your body still remembers the experience. Your chest tightens whenever someone says something too kind to you. Your stomach drops when things are going well, because your system was trained to treat calm as the moment right before everything falls apart. In psychology, this pattern is connected to what Stephen Porges calls polyvagal theory. The idea that your nervous system isn't just managing your heartbeat, it is constantly scanning every relationship for danger. And if your earliest relationships were the source of that danger, your internal scanner never really learned how to turn off. And here's the part that almost nobody talks about openly. Most videos on this topic will simply tell you that you push people away. I want to show you when it actually started, because understanding the moment it began changes everything. Think for a moment about the home you grew up in. Not what it looked like from the outside, but what it actually felt like from the inside. For some of you, it felt like you were always performing for approval, being the easy child who never caused trouble, the one who didn't create problems for anyone else, the one who learned to read everyone else's mood before understanding your own. You weren't pushed away all at once in a dramatic moment. It was much quieter and slower than that. Maybe your parent was physically present in the house, but emotionally they were somewhere else entirely. They provided everything that looked good on paper. But when you cried, the room suddenly felt uncomfortable. When you needed reassurance, you were given a lecture instead. When you needed warmth and understanding, you received logic and instructions. So you adapted to the environment around you. You slowly stopped reaching out for help. Not because you stopped needing connection, but because you learned that needing something costs something. That was the moment when everything quietly shifted. That was when the pattern actually started forming. In family systems psychology, Murray Bowen called this emotional cutoff. But it is not just about cutting people off as an adult later in life. It is about a child who learned that emotional closeness is a contract with unpredictable terms. And the story often becomes even more specific than that. Because the role you played inside your family system shaped how you push people away today. If you were the family scapegoat, the one blamed for tension that was already there, you learned that being visible means becoming a target. So now you disappear before anyone can assign you a role that you never chose. If you were the parentified child, the one managing your parents' emotions at 8 years old, you learned that closeness means responsibility and work. So now the moment someone leans on you emotionally, your system quietly says, "Not again." If you were the golden child, praised for your achievements rather than for simply being yourself, you learned that love comes with conditions attached. So now when someone offers love without conditions, it doesn't feel safe or natural. Instead, it feels like a setup waiting to collapse. On the surface, it may look like the same behavior, pushing people away, but underneath it is a completely different origin story. And the origin story is what truly matters. Because until you see where the pattern actually started, you will keep treating the adult version of yourself like the problem, when it was never truly about you. It was about what you had to become in order to survive inside a system that was not designed with your needs in mind. Now, I need to be honest with you about something important. Because understanding where the pattern came from does not automatically make the pattern healthy. There's a very critical line between two things that look identical from the outside. One is isolating out of fear, where you cut people off because your old programming is still running, and recreating the same emptiness you grew up with. The other is detaching out of wisdom, where you recognize that certain relationships genuinely cost more than they give. The action on the surface looks identical in both cases. In both situations, you make the same decision, you leave. But the difference appears in what you feel afterward. If you feel relief, genuine, quiet, cellular relief, that is your nervous system recognizing safety for the first time. If you feel nothing afterward, a flatness, numbness, or emotional blankness, that is not peace. That is your dorsal vagal system doing what it learned to do in childhood, shutting everything down so nothing can hurt you, even the good things that might have helped you heal. One experience is choosing solitude intentionally. The other experience is reliving a survival pattern from the past. And only you can truly recognize which one it is for you. So if you are someone who pushes people away before they get close, I am not going to tell you to immediately stop doing that. Instead, I'm going to ask you to look carefully at when this pattern first started. Because the 8-year-old child who learned that love is a performance, that closeness can be dangerous, and that needing someone might be the fastest way to get hurt, that child made the best decision they could with the tools they had. But you are not 8 years old anymore, and the rules you are still following today. Those rules were written by a child who was simply trying to survive a room full of adults who did not yet know how to love them properly. You are allowed to rewrite those rules now, not all at once in a dramatic transformation. Not for every person you meet in your life. But maybe you can begin rewriting them for one person, the right person who deserves to see you. And that process can start with yourself. If this described someone you know, or maybe even described you, consider subscribing to the channel. The next video in this series goes deeper into the family role that shaped you the most.